What's going on, party people? All right, what's going on, everybody? Michael here. Welcome back to Technoid. I hope you all are having a great night tonight. Also, if we could get a sound check in the house, guys, let me know if you can hear me tonight. We are experiencing a few technical difficulties, one of which being that I still can't get this thing to work. Sorry, guys, it's been a little hard and just very, very, very complicated. Like, see, technical difficulties all night tonight. Bear with me. Apologies, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great show tonight. Anyway, guys, so for starters, tonight's episode is going to be very, very quick. We're not going to be here for too long. We're going to do a quick show tonight, and then we're going to segue onto RFK's show because he is going live as well. So I don't want to interfere and take away from his show. So we will end the show early tonight at 9:30. So we'll only cover two topics, and that's it tonight. So real quickly, let's get into it. Blaze, what's up? Good to have you on. Kimon, welcome back. Siova in the house. Good to have you, Siova. Been a while since I've seen you. Alrighty, so let's do this quickly. Let's get this out of the way so we can start the show. First of all, follow me on Twitter at Technoid12. If you're not following me, make sure to do so you can keep up to date with the latest of my tech show. Follow me on Twitter at Technoid12. Also, shout out to our partners, Slate Chocolate Milk. Thank you for being a part of the Technoid show. Head on over to slatemilk.com, use the promo code Technoid, and save 10% off. Plus, every time you use the code, you're helping the channel out. You're also helping enforce the partnership and continuing the growth of this channel, period. Also, big shout out to Rogue Energy, who has just recently restocked their inventory. So now they have all their popular flavors back in stock. Head on over to rogueenergy.com and also use the promo code Technoid for 10% off as well. Again, guys, when you use the codes, every time you click on the link, you're helping the channel. So thank you guys for those that are continuing to purchase the products. And if you enjoy them, I really do hope you do. All right. Now we got that out of the way. Let's get the show rolling. So tonight's show is all about what happened today. So on Front Page Tech, I'm sure you guys have seen it. So I don't know how you couldn't, but if you haven't, John Prosser came out with the iPhone SE4 rumors, which I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm gonna have to pull a, I'm gonna probably pull a George St. Pierre. I love you, John, but I am not impressed with the leaks, the performance of your reports. I am not impressed, but we already knew this. I'm just kidding, guys. But yeah, Front Page Tech broke the news of the first renders that, again, we already knew this was going to happen, but it just kind of solidifies it. Also, Tech for Your Needs, thank you for coming in. Ricky, there you are, my man. Like I said, Ricky, I'm not going to be on long. We're going to segue right to your show when I am done. So not to worry, my friend. I will make sure not to interrupt your flow. But anyway, let's go on to frontpagetech.com. Let's head over there now, and let's talk about the iPhone SE 4. And while I think that this is the design we should have had, I also feel like it's just the same old, as hinted by what I have talked about. So first of all, let's get right to it. So today, John went out and put out the reports from frontpagetech.com. And essentially what he did was he basically revealed the, reports, the early renders. And these early renders give us an indication of what to expect and giving us an indication of what we can realistically see. Now, John, as you know, has been very, very reliable from the start to finish. He has had the best track record when it comes to these renders. Sometimes they throw a curveball. We'll see. But anyway, let's share up the screen. Let's get it going because you guys have been watching my face for too long now. Let's get it going. So here it is on frontpagetech.com. This is the official images, the official renders. Now, I will zoom in a little bit so you can get a better view. But essentially, we are getting the same thing as before. We are seeing the same design. We're seeing the same layout, period. And for the most part, yeah, it's exactly what we thought. It's exactly what we've seen, and it's exactly what it should have been this year. Now, real quickly in between, I'm going to be taking a little sip. This is a black and white thick shake from Karl. So good. Sorry, guys. But anyway, essentially, the iPhone SE 4 is the iPhone 10R. Now, this is something that we have known for a long, 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 long time. The only difference this time around is that this will be coming next year. The biggest difference also being for those people that did like the iPhone 10R and didn't want to switch for whatever reason you didn't want to, it will be priced the same, it'll be cheap and affordable, and most importantly, it will have a better CPU. Now, here's the thing. While I understand Apple's decision to do this, and I don't think that this is a bad thing, and also SIM card will still be on the iPhone 10R, I mean SE4. You see, already I'm getting thrown off. I think the biggest problem, I think the biggest issue is that it doesn't feel revolutionary. It doesn't feel to me. I feel like these last few months, Apple's been kind of slacking. And I say that because I've noticed a track record of their latest releases, and they all feel so underwhelming. It's like been there, done that, and it doesn't feel it doesn't feel really warranted. You see, and I'm gonna slouch for just a second, but I for one have always said that you know if there's a reason to upgrade, if there's a reason to you know to get a new product, then go for it. But these last few years, especially this year in particular, the latest Apple products have felt very, very underwhelming. They haven't felt like that wow factor in a while. Now, it could be because, we have outgrown the market segments. We've kind of outgrown everything, and we've kind of, maybe we have lost that wow factor because we've seen it all before. And maybe that's just us, the tech world. But I think the biggest problem with that I'm seeing with Apple's releases is that these products either are warranted or not warranted. So let me explain. You see, just yesterday, the iPad and iPad Pros came out. And they were probably some of the most boring coverage. I was hyping it up because of the rumors. And then last minute, we get that last minute report that Apple wasn't going to do it. And then we look and see that essentially this iPad Pro is about bare minimum of upgrade than upgrading itself. And then we see the new iPad, which looked promising. Mind you, it looked promising. It looked awesome. It was exactly what we thought it was going to be. Redesigned USB-C, not too expensive. But then I started sitting on it more. And while I understand Apple wanting to change up the flow, imagine being a consumer going into the store right now. Imagine seeing the iPad lineup. This was exactly the same problem that Apple had for a long time. They're oversaturated, and now they're making it harder because this new iPad that came out yesterday was supposed to be the budget end. Well, $450 doesn't feel budgeted anymore. And especially with taxes, you're going to be paying $500. If you're going to be, you know, if you're going to try to sell people, it has to be within a good cost range. I would have argued to drop the iPad Air and make that the iPad. Because when it came out, it really, it's in a weird shape. And now I look at the iPhone SE 4. Now, I'm not asking for it to be a breathtaking device. I don't even want it to be anywhere in the range of premium. I don't want any of that. I just want this phone to be the bare minimum for the general consumer. So for people that can't afford the real iPhones or have a tight budget, can get a Apple product at a super cheap price while also getting some of the premiums that come with it. And while this device does have that, because this is essentially the iPhone XR in the SE form, I feel like it should have been done sooner. I feel like Apple doing the second and third generation upgrade of the SE, in my opinion, was unwarranted. Because now it comes out, and I just feel like, for me, I feel like they're too late. Now, I'm not saying that's going to affect sales. I know this thing is going to sell well. I know it's going to sell well. I will bet, my soul that this will probably sell just as well as when the iPhone XRs came out back in 2018. I'm willing to bet my entire life that these phones will sell well. And they'll sell so well that they'll probably sell weller, if that's even a word. They'll sell even better than the iPhone 14 and 14 Pro. Now, it could be because it's cheaper. Could be because maybe people don't want the 14 because it's the last year phone. Or maybe it's just because they can do everything that those phones can do, but at a cheaper price. Because think about it for a second. Think about this for a second. Granted, the display will most likely be LCD. How many people have I heard, at least from my end, not tech savvies, general people, complain about the iPhone XR when it came out? Not many people. The iPhone 13, they loved it. So I think the general people, the general consumers, the people that go to Metro by T-Mobile stores that look for the bare minimum of mid-ranges, I don't think they're going to be disappointed. And I would even argue that if Apple prices it within the same price range as the iPhone SE, it's going to sell well. It will definitely sell well. I do believe it will. But I do also have to take into consideration that, this is a product that should have been out almost a year or two ago. I feel like Apple doing it now, it feels boring now, because it's like, yeah, where was this whole time? Oh, I'm just trying to make it bigger. That's my problem. Where was this a year ago? Where was this 2 years ago? Now, you can argue, you can make the case that Apple probably didn't have the parts ready. They weren't ready to do it. They had to customize these things for when 5G and everything. Here's the thing, though, guys. The iPhone XR was still available as a pre-owned device that you could buy in the Apple Store for the same price as an iPhone SE. Now, granted, you don't have 5G, you don't have any of those features, but you could walk into an Apple Store and say, hey, I want a pre-owned iPhone XR. They'll give it to you. And it was in the price range of the SE. Now, I get if they also wanted to put more higher end tech and make it a big release. I don't see this as something not revolutionary, because I'm not expecting it to be. But I just don't feel like we should see this now. This should have been done. I feel like the iPhone SE third generation would have been the perfect model to really do that. I get that the iPhone SE first generation to the second generation was a huge, big improvement, because you took the iPhone 8 and you put the stuff in there and call it the SE. The third generation should have been that. Instead, they re-released the same phone, put 5G in, and not even millimeter wave. They put sub-6 5G, which means for everybody it's mid and high band. So that way you get 5G up to a certain extent. I just feel like, I'm not saying it's not going to sell well, but I just feel like it should have been done sooner. That's just my opinion. And I do think that this phone will sell well. Even if it's the same old, same old. People bought the iPhone XR and they loved it. That's essentially what this phone is. It's the iPhone sub 7. Thank you, Ricky. So yeah, this phone is essentially the iPhone XR with the beefy, specs. And listen, if people were willing to pay $750 for when it first came out, I will bet everything that people will pay 400 and maybe $50 for this new one. Now, will it have 4x4 Milo LTE? Good question. We don't actually have a breakdown of the modem, but if calculations are correct, it will have, I believe, the Qualcomm X. I don't know if we're on 60 or 55. I forgot the modem chipset, but considering that this is a mid range, I don't expect it to have the X70 or anywhere in that caliber range. So I don't know about 4x4 LTE. I'm not sure. Mimo, I'm not sure. I really don't know. But if we find any tech specs, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say yes, it should. But considering that this is a mid range, I wouldn't expect Apple to put premium of premium in this device. But I could be wrong. So I will definitely keep you guys up to date on this story. But again, this is the iPhone SE 4. It is the iPhone XR that everybody loved, just called the SE. Now, it will come in three colors. It will come in black, white, and the new product red, which kind of looks a little more like, I would say, probably like a coral. But like I said, I think this is going to sell well. I think this is going to sell very well. And I think that this phone will appeal more to the people that want this kind of thing, but just can't afford it. So, like I said, we'll see when it comes out how much Apple's going to debut it for. And again, if people love the iPhone XR, they're going to love this phone. And again, it's not for everyone, but considering it has Face ID, it has the same Apple display, 60 hertz. That's on their own. The difference is it's probably OLED and LCD. So that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts on the iPhone SE 4. Now let's get to the last story, and then Ricky, before I'm done, I want you to plug in your live stream link so everybody can head on over. But the last story, I want to go back to Apple real quickly because there was something I forgot to mention on last night's show, and I hinted at it before, and I want to talk a little more about it. So yesterday we talked about the iPads, and while I do appreciate Apple really upgrading, I think we've reached the problem with Apple. And I think the biggest problem is their release cycles. You know, I can understand if there's a reason to warrant an upgrade. I can understand if there's a need or a demand. But tablet sales have been on the decline for about 2 to 3 years. And when I look at Apple's tablet lineup, it's very, very confusing. And I'm going to show you why. So imagine you're going into, let's say you go to shop. Let's say you're going into the Apple store. Let's say there's all these tablets in front of you. Now, on the surface glance, you look at it, you see, okay, we got a Pro, an Air, iPad, and then another iPad and an iPad mini. Then you look at the prices and you're like, why is the iPad and the iPad mini almost the same price? Why is there a $329 model still available for sale? Why is the iPad Air got the same specs as the iPad Pro? Well, not anymore, but somewhere in that caliber. And just imagine you're going in there just trying to get a tablet. There's so many of them. And, a lot of people don't talk about this, so I'm going to bring up this case. And I didn't get to talk about it last night. I think that Apple should have, in my opinion, with this new iPad, I feel like Apple should have discontinued the iPad Air and replaced it with the iPad, because we're back to what Apple always does. And this is something that has plagued their lineup for years, and they just don't get it. Now, listen, I'm not saying these are bad tablets by any mean. I'm not trying to come here and say that they're terrible. All I'm saying is These tablets can do exactly the same thing, and they can barely take advantage of iPad OS, the SoC on board, except for the A series chips inside the iPad mini, the iPad, and iPad Air. The M1 and M2 iPads still can't even take advantage of iPad OS, although Stage Manager does look like a good feature, and iPad OS 16 seems to build on that. I feel like Apple keeps making the same mistakes, and I'm not saying that these are terrible, but you know the old saying, you fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Imagine a general person just going into an Apple store, just wants to buy an iPad. Just an iPad. Look at what they got to go through. Now you're probably saying to yourself, oh, that's nothing. I've seen Samsung tablets have a simpler lineup. I've seen Google, before they were discontinued, have a simple lineup. Now I get it. The iPads are some of the best selling tablets on the market. If you buy any of them, you're pretty much set. But for me, I kind of wish that Apple had dropped the iPad Air. I'm not saying it's because it doesn't sell well or it doesn't need to sell well. I think the problem is the iPad, the $449 model, can do what the iPad Air does for less, and most people would be happy. Because think of it like this. You're buying the iPad Air for 3 reasons if you want to pay that $600. You're paying it for the M1 chip. You're paying for Apple Pencil Generation 2 support. Or option 3, you're paying for the smart connector, the actual smart connector. Otherwise, you do get a smart portfolio keyboard. Even though as ridiculous as it is, you do get Apple Pencil and you get the same iPad as the iPad Air, except it's just not laminated. But I think nowadays people have kind of accepted that. So, all in all, I feel like this lineup is, it's annoying. And I would like to see Apple simplify the lineup. And it sucks because what's even funnier is the iPad mini is actually somehow this mini little tablet, which I have, by the way. I have the iPad mini. It's actually my favorite because it's so small and it just does the job. I would argue that tablet would serve a general purpose for regular people. Let me show you guys. Let me show you. So, I always have this with me whenever I film my episodes of Technoid. I always use this as my secondary monitor. So whenever I'm filming, whenever I want to link up to the camera, I just connect here and it displays it right here. Now, granted, I do like a big tablet. I have the iPad Pro for when I do my classwork, when I go back to college, and when I was in college. But when I'm lounging at home, I just pick up an iPad and watch YouTube. And that's generally what people do. The iPad is mostly for kids, I think. Most people say they are. But for the general people, the standard iPad and iPad mini will probably serve those needs. And the iPad Pro are for the people that want to take advantage of the Pro features, which Apple still has to get through. I'm telling you guys, when Final Cut Pro makes it to the iPads, that's the day, in my opinion, that's the day that the iPads finally got full advantage of their SoCs. So that's just something I wanted to add on as a topic from last night. I didn't get a chance to talk about it. And again, if you guys agree with me, you agree. If you disagree, completely fine. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, guys, that is it for my show tonight. But before you leave, let's head on over to RFK's. He just posted a link in the live stream. I encourage all of you now to please head on over there now. We're going to make our way over. Ricky, thank you for inviting me, but unfortunately, I will not be able to make it. I have to run. So that's why I ended my show a little early tonight. And like I said, I think you guys, I thank you guys for watching. Now head on over to RFK's channel. Let's watch his live stream. Let's show him support. If you enjoyed the video tonight, hit the like button, share the video out, everyone. I hope you guys have a great night, head on over to RFK Tech. Link is in the live chat and it's up on your screen. Head on over, guys. Let's go support him and let's watch his show. Let's keep the party rolling. Thank you, everyone, for watching live. Have a good night, and I will see you all next time.